everyone, welcome to Conversations with Miss T, and that is me. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Kaya Mazule. Kaya is a brilliant artist, and we are currently working on a project together. Thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy. I I just want to let you know that it's getting late, and so um, I might get grumpy. I'll try not to. Because when I'm tired, I just get grumpy and I'm like, I'm done. I want to go to sleep, but I'll be fine. The first time I called you to ask you to work with me, I think that your excitement, because you were like, oh, wow, you were surprised and you sounded very eager. And I think that gave me the confidence to say, okay, this guy is cool, this guy's humbled and stuff like that. Um, So I just want to say thank you for that, for like, because I'm a newbie in this whole, creative writing thing. And sometimes you just don't know how people are going to react. And I think
Yeah,
your reaction was on point. And thank you for that.
shout out also. I think also look like your personality works like for the whole children vibes and the fact that you're a teacher too. I think it
Yeah.
just makes sense. Like your personality makes sense, and yeah, it really does. So for me, it's just the fact that I'm always excited by art stuff, you know.
Yeah. And I went through
And then
your Instagram
another thing is
page.
also,
Sorry, just you go.
mm,
Hmm?
no, you like you go first.
Okay. So I wanted to say like your Instagram page is dope. Like I still go through it now and I'm like, wow, you've got talent. I when did you realize you were an artist?
Mm, is it okay if I've got a mug, right,
I've got a
on
cup,
the recording? Is
paper
it a
cup.
bad thing?
No, it's fine.
Okay, to cups.
Cheers.
So for me, like the whole art thing for me started at a very young age, and I don't know at what point in time I decided that I'm going to become an artist. But as far as I can remember, I was doing. Actually, it's crazy that I'm doing a book on grade threes. In grade threes, I was doing posters for the classrooms. You know what I mean? Like for the
Really? That's
school, actually, I was already doing
nice.
posters. Yeah, I think I still have some pictures of that. So back then, they'll actually do like markers
Hmm.
because they never used to print the posters. It's like you drew a pencil drawing, you put markers on it, you color it in, then they laminate it. I'm not
Cool.
sure if you went to that type of school, but like that's how they used to do their posters. So the ABCs you see on the walls were like actually hand drawn, and I
Wow.
was actually do that type of stuff too. Yeah, so
And what was
I
your
remember that like
reward? What was your incentive at that time?
I was getting used by these old teachers, man. Like I would just do posters and then I'll go home and then like instantly they're so proud, like wow. Yeah, my earliest memory is doing those type of posters, laminated posters for I was in grade three, yeah. And then from then on, I started selling artwork at school. I was doing Dragon Ball Z posters
Nice.
and Digimon and Pokemon posters. And people would buy.
Yeah.
People would actually buy that. And then the teachers came and shut me down, bruh. The teachers came and they're like, "You can't run a business within a business," type of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
in grade seven. I'm balling in grade seven, making a lot of money off selling posters and artworks. At some point in time, it was almost T-shirts, and then they shut that down. And then, I mean, yeah, that is my earliest memory of art, like at school. At
Hmm.
home, I never used to draw at home. I don't remember drawing at home like that. Mm.
Is this something that your parents encouraged, or they were just like indifferent about it?
Well, my parents passed away when I was still young, so I grew up with a grandma,
I'm
and I
sorry to
what I
hear
picked
that.
up. Yeah, no, that's all right. But with the grandma, you kind of figure out like she's so old that she just lets the kids be who they want to be, and then she's just like this maintenance type of figure, you know. Like
Mhm.
once you're crossing the borderline, the boundary of what it is to be a good kid, then she steps in. But pretty much we got away with doing anything at home.
Yeah.
Uh, and the crazy thing is also like I was having this conversation last week with my friend about alcohol, that I started drinking alcohol at a very late age. You know,
Late? I
it
thought you
was
were gonna say young.
like at a very, very young, late age, because I was always into art, and then the type of environment and family life that uh, kind of grew up in around was not oriented towards that type of lifestyle.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, like earliest memory of art was like grade three doing posters, and then
Yeah.
at some point in time I became like the artist of the class in school. So beyond the whole anime thing, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and all that stuff, it became the matric jacket artist. You know how
Hmm.
matriculants once in
Yeah,
South
yeah, I
Africa they
remember
want
those. Yeah, yeah,
their
yeah.
jackets branded,
Because I
designed,
know
I think
I
three or four.
like when I was teaching high school, I had some high school students that were really good at this. And at the time, the least I could do was just like take the drawings and put them up in my office and stuff. Like I couldn't pay for it. And I encouraged them. I don't know how many of them actually pursued that, but I knew that, it was something that came so effortless to them and they could actually make like a nice buck out of it.
Mm.
Um, how would you advise me as a teacher to encourage somebody artistic, you know? Because I think
To
I think
encourage like somebody.
yeah, because I
Mhm.
think the way that parents define success is, you get an engineering qualification, you become an engineer, doctor, or then they say you're successful. But I look at you, I'm like, you're doing something that you're passionate about. That for me is success in its own right.
Yeah. So like you saying how would I encourage someone who wants to become an artist or like a kid
How would
who
you
wants to be an
advise
artist?
me as a teacher or all the other teachers out there to encourage somebody who is autistic?
Damn. Okay, the first thing I'd say is like keep doing what you're doing, you know? I think like for real, like first of all, it's like you as a parent right now, because you are a parent in that sense, even if you don't have a kid, whatever. But the fact that you're overseeing so many futures and they're in your hands, you have to play that parental role, you know. So I think as a parent, you pretty much don't know what you're doing. You get it, even as a teacher. It's like you can impart the knowledge and lessons that you're teaching, but you really don't know what you're doing. You're kind of freestyling and you're hoping this is gonna work out, this project is gonna work out.
Yeah.
So I think for me, you just have to, if you have good intentions, you just do what's best right now. And then going to the outside is like you really, if you find out a kid or the children are very creative, you have to really encourage that. You have to really make an effort to encourage that because it can, if it's not encouraged at like a young age, and for me, that whole tag of being like the school artist or yo artist Ukaya, that really like left a mark on me. That
Mhm.
at some point in time when I had to choose a career or was like school is over now, what do I do?
Mhm.
Like those type of things play back. So now maybe because I'm from Eastern Cape, you find a lot of kids who are very good at football, right? And
Mhm.
it only ends in the park, where they could become professional footballers. And then a couple of times I went back to Eastern Cape and you find some of these kids working at Woolworths and KFC and McDonald's. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just know that they are talented and they could have pursued that. So
Yeah.
I think for me, when it comes to talented kids or creative kids, it really has to be like pushed. Like you tell this kid that, yo, you dope. Even if
Yeah.
they're drawing scribbles, but they like drawing, you just
Mhm.
really encourage that side.
Right.
And then if they really want it, if they really, really, really want it, then they have that option of going for it. you know.
Yeah. Because
And
I
also,
yeah.
mhm,
Oh no, I just wanted to say that like as much as I love my family and I know, they were looking out for me, but they kind of did not want me to be a teacher because they saw it as a dead end career. It's like you become a teacher and HOD, a principal, and then that's it. And so
yeah,
they tried to talk me out of it. Um,
mm,
and I think they meant well. They're like, no, science has a bright future. You can be a scientist and whatnot. But I was like, no, at this point, I know that I was born to be a teacher and it's something that I wanted to do. And so
mm,
I just, like on behalf of all the parents and teachers out there who are making a mistake of, I don't know, like trying to channel um
Yeah.
students in the direction that they think is the most suitable. I understand where they're coming from. It's because you want the best for like your student, your child, and you just want them to be successful and comfortable. So I think for me,
Mm.
I don't know if I'm wrong or right, but what I used to do with my students is explain this to them. It's like, it's not that your parents don't believe in you. It's because they're afraid
Yeah.
that if you pursue this, then are you like going to be able to make a living out of it? Because I remember I had this kid in grade 11 when I was asking them like what they're passionate about, like where they see themselves in the future and stuff like that. I think there was a kid who had an opportunity to be a football player, an international football player at some point, like at a very young
Mm.
age. And the mom said
Mm.
no. And I think the kid still holds that grudge that I could have been a somebody at this point, but my mom said, and then I
Yeah.
said, yeah,
See,
yeah, it's sad, right? And I said it's because like your mom was trying to look out for you. It's not like she was intentionally trying to hinder your dreams. It's yeah. So I just told them that if your parents want you to do this and there's no way out of it, like if your parents want you to be an engineer and there's no way out of it and you want to be an artist, I told
yeah.
them to ease into it. I said, okay, fine, you can do that. And in the meantime, show your parents that you can make a living out of being an artist until they're comfortable enough to say, okay,
Yeah.
we see that
Yeah.
that you're passionate about. You could use that to sustain yourself, and then they
Mm.
can also like slowly try to get comfortable with the idea that no, you're not an engineer, you're an artist. Because as Black people, like it's not so easy to just pursue your dream. Like Black techs, you have responsibility, and like you've got to go to
Yeah.
work and make the guap and support not only yourself but your family. Mm.
Mm. Yeah, but like, I get that part, and I've heard that angle so many times where someone says like, "Yeah, I wanted to be a ballet dancer, but my family told me and X, Y, Z, and they became mathematicians, right?" And the trap that I've seen is like, so they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna be a mathematician for 5 years. Then when I'm done, I'm gonna take this money and go and become a ballet dancer." But what happens in that space is they get a kid, they get a car, they get a house, and then it's time to jump now. It's time to make that jump. It's like,
Not
you
easy.
know, it's just not feasible anymore.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
for me now, the reason why I was saying that, and I also agree with you that some parents really mislead their kids, or they produce those type of kids who've had this like little grudge, or not a grudge, but like animosity towards their parents because of that thing. Is that I think maybe with me, right? At some point in time, when you're old enough to think for yourself, you have to make your own decisions. You get that, no matter what your parents say. If you're old enough to see it, you have to get to a point where you make your own decision. Like, oh, you're gonna be an artist now, so you will not have any money. You're gonna be broke, and all that stuff. And the thing is, for me, it's more like maybe it's also my personality. The more someone puts me on the fear side of things, and there's no experience to it, you know, because most people like me too, and they had never delved into the whole art industry, so they were scared of something they don't know, they've never experienced before.
Mhm.
So they like, listen, not that we know what's best for you, but don't go in this direction. Rather go the corporate route, whatever. So I just know that at some point in time, when you're old enough to see what's what, you have to decide
Yeah,
for yourself.
because
And even
ultimately it is your
mm,
life, and you have to be accountable for the time that you spend.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So at some point in time, also that type of I don't know personality traits
Hmm.
can be nurtured in a kid as well.
Yeah,
You know that you have to also think for yourself
yeah.
because what happens is, for example, I've got a friend who's a DJ now, and at some point in time, when the whole trap music thing was a thing, he went and did trap, and then the other guys who stuck to DJing and just being a DJ. Now they're like levels ahead of him because they just stuck to it. And now trap is not that big as it was. I don't know when it first came through. So that whole thing of sticking to what you want, and I know he wants DJing, then running with what is in the trend. Like, oh, the highest paid job in the world now is being a doctor. So now everyone wants to be a doctor. Now it's
Mm.
IT now, right? IT is like the new medicine because everything's technological now.
Yeah.
If you want to be uh, well paid now, you go into IT. But what does that do to your talent then if you just go with the flow?
This is it.
So I
Yeah.
think kids need to be taught that thing of like to stick to it.
Yeah.
You know,
And
kind of
and
like in
mhm,
relationships where relationships where this whole cheating thing also now when I really look at it in depth is a thing of like, oh, so maybe your girlfriend is no longer that hot in your eyes or whatever, and then you decide to go for the Coca-Cola dome woman who are in fashion, Coca-Cola body waste woman who are in fashion, and you're not sticking to what you love, and then at some point in time it dawns upon you that you know you've made a mistake or something like that. Not that I've been through that situation before.
mhm, mhm.
I've heard so many stories along that line from dudes who said they left a girlfriend of like 5 years over a fling, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
yeah. I don't know if you've seen Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married? And they talk about the
yeah,
80-20 rule. Like you get so
yeah,
comfortable getting the 80 and you chase after the 20.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that
It's real, right? I
Tyler Perry
I
stuff. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I like so the conversation that we had the other day, and you were telling me about the people that have had an impact in, like people that have kind of, how do I phrase this?
Mm.
The people that were there to hold your hand as you went through this journey of becoming the artist that you are now. Do you want to tell me more about those people?
The insane thing is they never supported the art, but
Oh,
they really inspired me, like
okay.
indirectly,
Okay, okay.
or maybe directly. I don't know. But my math teacher, he
Mm.
was from Ghana, Mr. Bamfo, Mr. Okere Bamfo. So this guy, like, is actually like a crazy psycho. Like, he's actually like respectable man, obviously, but he's like a psychopath. So everything is maths for him.
Yeah.
Everything is maths. Food, it might be an equation for him. We might talk about food equations or Coca-Cola bubble drink equations. Like he was the type of guy where whatever he's doing, his whole life revolves around it. Like, you know,
Mhm.
like if I like art, I'll literally like what that's how my mind thinks. If I walk into a room sometimes I'll just hate it. And I'm like, I wish the sofa would not be there. I know
Yeah.
it's like, and it's not a thing of like it's not like a deco thing or interior designer thing, but the way that things look and feel, for me, it's like a thing. It's like an everyday, it's an every moment thing. So for him, mathematics was that, everything had to do with maths with him.
Yeah.
Like that's how much he was really like into mathematics. So even with me now, I learned so much from him in that aspect where you just try to make product art in like every part of your life is art. And then that's one guy. The second dude is actually a friend, and I don't want to mention names, but
Yeah.
we used to create comic books at a young age,
Mm.
stupid comic books about superhero powered people and all these type of things. And just having someone like, okay, there was four of us actually. It was like a crew of these dudes. I don't know how we started drawing.
Yeah.
I think it was because I was the school artist and they also liked art. So we all just started drawing together.
Yeah.
So they have like some type of drink and draw sessions where we go out and we have 2 drinks and we draw, 4 drinks or 10 drinks and we draw. But the whole art of it was like to learn to not separate the so-called fun with the whole going out thing. You get it?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
get.
because yeah, at some point in time in my life, I found that I waste so much time with just going out, you know. And then I'm the type of guy who can have a glass of wine or beer and still work. So
Mhm.
why don't just mix the two things? And that's what we did, and that really really helped me out. So even this weekend I kind of went out on like Saturday, for example,
Yeah.
and partying, all that stuff went down, but at the party, I'm there with my laptop, with my Wacom, and I'm chatting with my friends, and I'm drawing, or
Really?
sometimes I'm painting. Yeah,
Nice.
because I waste so much time just going out for the sake
Socializing,
of
yeah.
just going out.
Yeah.
Yeah, socializing. I can socialize whilst I work, So
Yeah. Kill two birds with one
that's
stone. Yeah.
yeah.
They kill two
Say
birds with one stone.
yeah, but it's also, besides killing two birds with one stone. Well, it is killing two birds with one stone. It's a thing of like, I feel like my life is like this long holiday since I'm an artist. Like I really like art so much. It feels like a long holiday. And now with this holiday, if I can't find ways to monetize, the skill, then obviously you fall short in other types of ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on my holiday, I just happen to just draw a couple of pictures, and
Yeah.
they pay your bills, and you know it's really fun. So my math teacher, yeah, Mr. Bamfo, and then my crew, my circle
Yeah.
back then, because I hardly see them now actually. And who else used to encourage me like crazy? I don't know. Yeah, a very important person would be this woman called Miss Thurston. There was a woman called Miss Thurston in school,
Yeah.
and because I grew up with a stutter, I used to stutter.
You really? No. When did it stop?
I joined the choir. I I read about Bruce Willis,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and I read about Bruce Willis used to have a stutter. I remember I was in grade 9, 10. Imagine how old I am, and I'm still stuttering. I could hardly put together two sentences. Could hardly put together two sentences. So at the time, I remember reading about Bruce Willis. Now he's like a world famous actor already at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he joined a choir to fix his vocal cords, whatever, joined a choir. There was no money for speech therapists, so there's no choir for speech therapists. So I joined a choir and I sang. And it's crazy that at some point in time, you first sing to fix your voice, then you eventually just start singing for the sake of singing. And then at some point in time, you realize, hey, I can actually talk, you know?
Wow. And so what kind of choir did you join? Was it a cappella? Was it gospel choir? What was it?
I sang alto. Is it alto, right?
I
I sang
think
alto.
so. Yes, it's
It
soprano.
was like a
Yes.
very informal choir, but we used to perform.
Huh.
Mm.
Do you want to sing first
So
now?
what?
Come on.
What?
Just do one
What?
line. Just.
You gotta pay for that. You gotta pay for that. So
Okay, I don't
we'll
mind,
set up
but
a different
sing.
meeting for that one. Set up a different meeting for that. But
Wow.
that's real fact. Like even now, because even in grade 12 was when I was starting to really get over. Because what happens is like when you stutter, there's a point in time where when you I don't know if your vocal cords get fixed up or whatever. I don't know the science behind it, but I know singing helps. But there's a point in time where you don't stutter anymore. But the anxiety of actually having a conversation with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes you stutter. Like when some people only stutter when they're nervous, when they're lying, or
Yeah.
when they're
The lion. Yeah.
yeah. So when I finally figured that part out, that hey, you know what, I'm actually fine,
Yeah.
you know. And then I was
Uh,
like, now, um, getting a girlfriend and necking, for example, or no, it's like the anxiety of it, and everyone faces that anxiety. So how do you manage that?
mm-hmm.
So when I finally figured out that was the last step that I had to overcome to just be able to put some words together, that
And
crazy anxiety part of
how
it.
how did you overcome that? Did you
I,
did you use the notion of face the fear and keep going?
I mean, I think that there was also like an outlet, but
Yeah.
I never created artwork around the situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think once you're conscious of something, like let's say you say, hey, I've got a problem with sleeping late too much. Like
Yeah.
that is just the beginning of you solving the problem.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I was conscious of the fact that like the anxiety that hits me when it's time to have normal conversation, just an everyday conversation with the person behind the till, Like, so what else would you want? Or do you want airtime? No, 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 no. You know.
I
And then,
yeah,
because
yes.
some people don't expect it. They're like, hey, what's this person say? They're like, oh shit, he started. But it was hectic, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
For me,
But
like
one
if
thing that I can say, ne? Yeah,
okay,
I'm
okay.
talking a lot now. You see,
No,
I'm
it's
talking a lot
fine. It's
now.
fine. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, keep going.
But one thing I can tell you is the fact that my childhood was very silent. Like, I think that's where the art comes from. You pay a lot of attention when you're quiet. You get it? You pay so much attention, especially when you're young.
Yeah. It reminds me of the story of Maya Angelou. You know her.
I know
She
Maya Angelou.
yeah, she tells a story about how she got molested and raped when she was still young. And so
Yeah.
she told on the guy, and
Mm,
then I think the guy got arrested and came out of jail, and then I don't remember what happened to the guy, but eventually he died. And she blamed herself, and she said opening up my mouth led to a man's death. And so she kept quiet for several years, and in her silence and solitude she began reading, and I
mm,
think like reciting poetry and stuff like that. And that's where all this creativity started to bubble up, and eventually when she started talking she had a lot to say. um,
mm.
but what I was trying to get at is this. I think what I'm picking up from you is that keeping busy made you stay out of trouble, because you were busy hustling and like working on your artistic skills, and then you joined the choir, so you had no time to do all these other things, like just basically the useless things that young people do when they don't
Yeah.
utilize time wisely. So I think that's something that I also try to encourage with my students and my former students, that you have to keep busy doing something productive, something that's going to help you in the future. Otherwise,
Yeah.
idleness is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devil hands. Like, what's the saying again? Idle hands. Something, something. The work of the
I was
devil.
trying to
Yes,
remember.
that's
It's
the
just,
same.
yeah, I forgot. We can Google
Yes.
it. Let me Google it. I'm getting messages because we had the big fat man delivered to people last week, and people are getting the books, and so I'm so happy.
How do people order your book? Also, like, that's another thing that I don't know. How do people order your book? Do they contact you directly?
Yeah, you have to inbox me for now, but I will fix up the website. Okay.
Okay. So is the stock in South Africa, or
Yeah,
is there
yeah,
like a
and
delivery thing?
I have some books here in Taiwan, and I have orders here. So as soon as I'm out of quarantine, I'll start dropping off people's books. But yeah, in South Africa we
Mm.
have stocks. Hang on.
Okay, cool.
Idle hands quote. Idle hands are the devil's playthings. Is it that?
The devils?
Playthings.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that by
yeah,
Benjamin
that thing.
Franklin. Yeah. So I really think it's very good to stay busy.
Yeah,
Use your
you
time
have to also.
productively. You have to?
Yeah, I mean, also about staying busy. It's like I notice my career only grows in moments where there's like a lot of consistency, not consistency, momentum,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a lot of momentum. So I work day in day out. Might not even be like for the whole day. Let's say 5 hours a day, but I just keep that momentum going, and
Yeah.
suddenly you find that things open up. So
So
also with let's say, yeah,
now I just wanted to say, you just reminded me of something. So I read a lot, right? Like I could read an entire book and just get like one life lesson from it. And in school, we read Maru by Bessie Head, and says heredity, nothing, environment, everything. So I think that your associations matter a lot. Like you have to be really careful who you're friends with, because that will determine the direction that your life takes. And so I like what you're
yeah,
doing, that you're in a circle of people that allow you to still continue doing, the gigs that you to work on the gigs that you get, or you still
mm,
socialize. Because imagine if you were in a circle of people that did not allow you to be yourself, then you would
yeah,
either have to choose or compromise, and you wouldn't be year or build the momentum that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's so deep.
yeah.
Um, yeah. What else can we talk about?
Hmm. What can we talk about? We can talk about. I don't know.
What is the
We can
one
talk
thing that
about
you feel is a mystery when it comes to women?
women.
Yeah, in general.
Mystery. Women. Everything. Everything is a mystery. Like today it's cool, you can do it, but tomorrow you can't do this anymore. No. But yes, I said yesterday you could do it, but today I'm like, no, you can't do it. I don't
Okay.
know. With women, it's um just for me. It's I just feel yeah, very emotional, feely type of beings.
Hmm.
So if you wanna take everything practically, you're gonna miss their essence. Like uh yeah, like they're very emotional, and not emotional in like a negative way, but it's like how you do things and how things sort of feel,
Hmm. Hmm.
really matches with like women,
I think
and
yeah. Hmm.
also like I mean just to substantiate just that little part, and that's not even half the truth, but it's like they say, Uti, masculinity is like the walls of a house, like the bricks and the door and the basic functionality things, and a bed, and then if you want to turn that stone cave into a home, you have to bring the feminine energy.